Good morning, everyone. How you doing today? Michael Zuber, author, One Rental at a Time. And one of those books I read decades ago that I just had a reread of is The Millionaire Next Door. And this book is one that, if you're on the financial independence, retire early train, you've probably already read. And if you haven't, you really should. The biggest takeaway for me in this book, and there are so many, was it doesn't matter what your income is. A high income actually makes it harder to retire early. That idea was further enhanced by Robert Kiyosaki in the cash flow game. One of the things you do in that game is you select a career or job very early on in the game. And having played the game 100 times now, I can tell you being an attorney or a doctor is tough. It's hard to win the game when you are one of those professions. And again, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. And it really is lifestyle creep. So what I did is, after reading the book again, thank Thomas Stanley and William Danko for writing it all those years ago, is the book talks about two doctors, Dr. South and Dr. North. And both of these doctors, back in the 80s made $700K a year. So clearly high paid professionals. But you can see their life choices really highlights that one of them has financial freedom and wealth and legacy, and the other is on a path to bankruptcy. This is always eye-opening to me. Somebody making a high income and going broke. So what I did is I created a presentation. I took details right out of the Millionaire Next Door book. So the data, every piece of financial data I had, I took from this book. And then I added a couple more, and I'll highlight those for differences. Again, this is an important video. It'll be about 10 or 15 minutes long. If you like financial discussions, investment, mindset, do me a favor, give me a thumbs up. This will probably be a 15 or 20-minute video. Also hit subscribe. I create original content every day for you. I do it live. I don't edit videos. I don't play to the YouTube algorithm. I'm truly trying to help people have a better financial future. And it really starts with the financial decisions we make nearly every day. So let me bring it up so we can talk about it. So I had to create a title for this, and, I just calling it Going Broke, Making $500K a Year. I could call that six figures. Maybe that's something I'll call the thumbnail, Going Broke, Making Six Figures. But here's the deal. We have two doctors, Dr. North and Dr. South. As you will see, Dr. North and Dr. South are making about the same income, but that's where their similarities stop. Dr. North and Dr. South have different tastes in automobiles, houses, clothes, club membership. And you can see how those financial decisions eat into their income, leaving them with less to save and invest. I have talked about, and Millionaire Next Door introduced me to the concept of earn, save, invest, repeat. What is not said in that statement is it's really earn, spend, save, invest, repeat. One of them is spending nearly all 700 grand. The other is not. And what you will see by the end of this presentation is there's just a huge difference. One of them is stressed out. One of them can't stop working. One of them is a heartbeat away from financial ruin. The other's fine. So let's talk about and let's look at their decisions. So first, Dr. North and Dr. South make 700 grand a year. 730 grand for Dr. North, 715 grand for Dr. South. These are very high paid professions, so you probably would expect them to pay significant taxes, income taxes. They both spend almost 300 grand a year on taxes. Man, the IRS really likes Dr. North and Dr. South. This leaves either doctor with over 400 grand to spend. They can spend it, they can save it, or they can invest it. Both doctors have over $400,000 to spend, save, or invest in a single year. This is good living. So let's see where they're spending their money. So first, cars. And I just picked cars. The book talked about Porsches and Mercedes and all of those things. But Dr. North spends a whopping $1,000 a month on his cars. They're very simple. They get him from point A to point B, not necessarily a name brand and certainly not a high-end name brand. Dr. South, on the other hand, he's got some toys. Dr. South, I believe, was rolling in a new Porsche, if I remember the story correctly, had other high-end cars. And man, he is spending, wow, that's 6 times as much as Dr. North. Dr. South's garage probably looks like a new car lot. Dr. North is like, hey, I've had this car 8, 9, 10 years. Doesn't matter. And then I added in there the percent of net income. Remember, both doctors had 400 grand. One was 400, one was 450. Dr. North is spending 3% of his net. Remember, earn, spend, save, invest. Dr. North is spending 3% of his net on cars, on transportation. Dr. South, on the other hand, well, he's spending 17%, 1-7, on transportation, on multiple cars. That is a significant difference, and it continues. Let's look at their choices for housing. Again, Dr. North has a nice house, but it's simple. It's not in these gated communities. It's not the biggest or nicest house a doctor could own. He spends about, what is that? About $1,200. Yeah, about $1,200 a month for his mortgage. Again, spending 3% of his net. Boy, Dr. South, he got a nice house. He is spending $107,000 or 26%. 1 out of every 4 hours goes to pay for his house. I can't even fathom that. That's like $8,600 a month in mortgage payments. That is a nice house. But you're starting to see, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And we're going to see what the implications are in a moment. This data wasn't in the Millionaire Next Door book, but you've got to imagine Dr. North and Dr. South are likely shopping at different places. Dr. South is probably at the Whole Foods all the time, where Dr. North may be more simplistic and at Safeway. Again, it wasn't in the book, but you have to assume that their grocery habits and other things are similar to cars and homes. Clothes. This was in the book. Dr. North's family, this was a family number, spends about 9 grand a year on clothes. Where Dr. South, he ain't having any of that. He is rolling up in name brand suits. He is looking fly. He is spending $30,000 a year on clothes. That is 7% of his income for clothes in his closet. What is that? 30,000? That's $2,500 a month. That's a lot of clothes. Then they talk about, again in the book, Dr. North and Dr. South. Dr. North actually belongs to a country club. Only one. Spends $8,000 a year being a member, or 2% of his net income. Where Dr. South, he's like, forget that. I want to be a member of 2, 3, 4 clubs. He's spending almost a 50 grand a year being at different clubs. These are financial decisions that may feel good in the moment, but now 1 out of every 10 hours Dr. South is working goes to pay his club dues. 12% of his net income goes to club dues. Just insane. So these numbers aren't in the book, but I took a shot because I think it's important to realize that, cars, housing, clothes, club dues, which were all in the Millionaire Next Door, there are other expenses. So I wanted to take a shot at kind of completing the income and expense statement for Dr. North and Dr. South. So I took a stab at insurance, utilities, cell phone, internet, all that stuff, food, entertainment, kids, right? They're spending money on their kids, I'm sure. Vacations. Anybody think Dr. South is not taking a 5-star vacation? So what I added to expenses is 50 grand for Dr. North, but another 116 grand for Dr. South. And this is where life changes, folks. Remember, both Dr. North and Dr. South had over 400 grand to invest or to earnings, right? After taxes. They both made 700. They both paid roughly 300 in taxes. So they both had about $400,000 to spend every year. Earn, spend, save. The number in yellow is what they save. Dr. North saves 360 grand a year. Dr. South saves 41. I don't know about you, but making 700 grand a year and saving 40 grand is atrocious. You're one health crisis from going broke. So here's the deal. Dr. South is spending $373,000 a year in his rat race. The wheel we talk about all the time, he's just keeping up. Every year, he has to make 700 grand a year. He can only save and invest 41,000, which is really sad. That's only 10% of his net income. You make 700 grand a year, your net is 400 and you're saving 41. You're never going to retire. You're going to be a doctor until you're 90. On the other hand, Dr. North, he is saving, right? Again, earn, spend, save. He is saving roughly 80% of his net income. That's amazing. That's life choices. I thought Olivia and I were doing pretty good when we got down to 50%. He makes me look like I'm a spendthrift. He saved almost 80% of his income. And that's where life changes. When you look at Dr. North and Dr. South, again, this was absolutely the point of the Millionaire Next Door. It's those simple life choices. Dr. North's net worth was estimated to be $7.5 million. On the other hand, Dr. South, 400 grand. I'm telling you, if you have 700 grand in income, if your net worth is only 400 grand, you have a spending problem, not an income problem. And again, this might be out there, but that is so true of so many Americans. I was included in that. When I was 30 years old, I spent all my income. I thought that was what you're supposed to do. I did some math here in yellow, basically net worth divided by net income, just to show how someone can scale it. So the net income for Dr. North was about 400 grand. He's worth 7.5 million. So he has a ratio of 16.6. He's grown his yearly net income to a net worth of 7.5. Dr. South, his net worth is less than 1 compared to his net income. I think his net income was about 415 grand. His net worth is less than that. That is atrocious, unacceptable. Not good. So in the end, remember, it's not what you make. It's what you spend and keep so you can save and invest. And if you can do that, you can be like Dr. North and explode higher. So again, if you haven't read this book, I strongly recommend it. It was written decades ago. Lots of great data, very analytical. If you like numbers, you'll like this. Lots of lessons learned. I want to thank again Thomas Stanley and William Danko for writing it. It really helped, and it's still helping people. All right. Remember, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. Earn, spend, save, invest, repeat. Take care.